Hello. First of all, I'd like to thank the audience and the ENC organization team to make possible this event using digital tools. My name is Everton Silva from Universidade Estadual de Campinas, UNICAMP, and I'd like to present you a paper about energy efficiency and gaseous emissions in the automotive industry through a comprehensive analysis of technological alternatives for future mobility. The main objective of this paper is to indicate the technological roads for mobility, focusing on the reduction of the local and the greenhouse gas emissions, indicating the technological development trends to meet the goals of the Brazilian programs Rota 2030 and PROCONV, and also possible future complementation in the existing programs, take into account in the analysis of the main energy efficiency and the gaseous emissions program at the global level. I will also show technologies used so far to achieve these goals. As methodology we adopted in this paper was the comprehensive bibliographic review of the global legislation on gaseous emissions and energy efficiency. The technology that were applied in the last phase of these programs, as well the available technologies to guarantee the achievements of next legislation phase, carry out the analysis focused on the Brazilian application. About fuel efficiency programs for light vehicle, as you can see on the figure, several countries applied legislation to support the fuel efficiency improvements, indicate that the industry has a great challenge to achieve these objectives. However, being possible through the application of new technologies. In the Brazilian case, with the introduction of legislation to improve energy efficiency defined by Inovar Auto, vehicle manufacturers, based on the average values from their fleets, were forced to achieve at least 12% of fuel economy improvements. Comparing the energy efficiency of the models sold in December 2014 in Brazil, vehicles sold in and the vehicles sold in September 2017, as shown in the figure, it's possible to observe that the positive effect of Nova Auto program in improving the efficiency of vehicles, especially in the lighter ones. It's possible to verify that the most efficient models received new technologies such as low viscosity oils with focus on reducing hydrodynamic friction, green tires to reduce the rolling resistance, vehicle mass reduction, variable valve time in the 4 valves per cylinder, increase the specific power through the introduction of turbo engines and direct injection, changes in transmissions, electric pump steering, gear shift indicator, tire pressure monitoring, and start-stop system. About local emissions for light vehicle, the current legislation focus are on carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, and hydrocarbons, with following technologies introduced, like for example, new materials for after-treatment system, improvement of fuel heating system to assist the engine cold start, application of an additional oxygen probe, the lambda sensor to support the mixture formation control, optimization in the onboard diagnostic system, the called OBD-BR2, ensuring the maintenance of the emissions levels during the use of the vehicle, and also improvements on the fuel specification, especially for commercial gasoline, that also receive a significant reduction in the amount of sulfur from this fuel. To meet the next stage of Rota 2030 for light vehicles scheduled for 2022, automakers will need to more efficiency on vehicle by at least 11% compared to the goal established in Nova Auto. This will require additional technologies like, for example, direct injection turbocharged engines, 3-cylinder engines, start-stop system, CVT or more speed transmissions with focus on down speed, reduction on the mass on the best-selling vehicles, Also, the adoption of off-cycle technologies such as the variable air conditioning system and aerodynamic optimization, and also eco credits. It means that, for example, increase of engine compression ratio to benefit the ethanol efficiency or introduction of a hybrid and electric vehicles. About the local emissions for heavy duty applications, that is equivalent to the European Euro 5, the currently one, also was introduced new technologies, for example, like after treatment system, such as diesel oxidation catalytic, diesel particulate filter, and selective catalytic reduction. And also you have the adoption of gas recirculation system, the EGR, in some application as measured to reduce NOx. Improvements also in the commercial fuel, in commercial diesel, with a reduction of level of sulfur that contributes to the reduction of particulate matter formation, and the introduction of high levels of mixture of biodiesel to the commercial diesel, with the objective to reduce the particulate material emissions and also the greenhouse gas emissions. About the energy efficiency for heavy duty vehicles, there was no prediction for targets for this vehicle class before the entry of HOTA 2030. However, there was always a great market attention regarding the fuel consumption due to high impact on the operational costs. Start from HOTA 2030, limits will be defined for heavy vehicles, which should come into force in 2032. Such limits will be based on the energy consumption from the vehicles on the P8 technologies. P8 means equivalent to Euro 6. And the goals will be between 20% up to 30% of fuel consumption improvements if you compare with the current vehicle, the baseline vehicle. Looking for technologies available, it's possible to meet, if you see the figure, it's possible to meet a real range of energy efficiency improvement around 43% compared with the current vehicles. So it's totally possible to achieve these targets if you apply this kind of technology. About the future vision for local emissions in Brazil for heavy vehicles, we will have a new phase called the Procon VPH that will start in 2022. This legislation is based on the European legislation Euro 6. And in order to guarantee the full introduction of this legislation, some technology, like for example, introduction of a new technology called the Extended SCR, which is an integrated system with a DOC and DPF in the SCR in the single component, ensure the optimization and of costs, and also the efficiency will be applied for some more critical application in terms of NOx emissions. The exhaust gas circulation integrated with cooler systems should also be implemented. And with all of these devices to support the reduction of local emissions, the OBD system will undergo evolution in this new phasing, carrying out the continuous diagnosis of the operation of these technologies, ensuring the maintenance of the emissions level. For light vehicle, the new phase called the Proconv L7 that are going to be introducing on 2022 will support the local emission reduction with focus on cold start and the evaporative emissions, using technologies like three-way catalytic with increment of precious materials make the system more efficient, gasoline particulate filter for vehicle equipped with direct injections, and also the fuel heating to reduce the emissions at cold start. It's important to mention that in the evaporative emissions, we will have an evaporation absorption system called the canister that will be introduced to capture the hydrocarbons for vehicle refueling. This will be the main technology introduced to meet the next stage of emissions legislation in Brazil. Talking about the suggestion for future Brazilian automotive legislation, for light vehicles, we have the particle number limits should be introduced for the vehicles with direct injection technologies. Also, special attention on fuel properties improvements, the octane number from 93 for 98 to enable new technology introduction like the external sizing, improvement of not burning hydrocarbons control on cold start phase, and also the well-to-wheel concept introduction to support a real greenhouse gas emission reduction. For commercial vehicle, you have quite the same direction, like for example, the new renewable fuels with greater resistance to oxidation in relation to biodiesel. The example given is the 8VO. The well-to-wheel concept, same from the light vehicle, and also here now the focus on fuel efficiency improvement regarding not only the engine but the complete vehicle should be a mainstream in the next legislation phase. About the future technologies that we see for the urban application, we needed to take in account that technological application depends of the regional conditions of resources availability and in particular the environment and economic needs. In this case of the urban application, buses for public transport powered by hybrid system with biofuel is a very good option. Also, the purely electric buses, which associate with low CO2 equivalent emissions in Brazilian energy metrics, can also collaborate to the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. And the commercial and the passenger utility vehicles for short distance can also adopt the hybrid technology powered by biofuel, battery, or fuel cell. Especially for urban applications, in order to reduce the impacts of local emission on public health, it is recommended to adopt again the inspection and maintenance program for vehicles in use due to the high environmental benefits. For longer distance application, in Brazil, the conventional combustion systems are the most cost-effective option. Associated with biofuel is the best way to sustainable transport, since the adoption of the electric vehicles will require major investment in recharge infrastructure, and they estimate an average cost to build the networking in the range between $1,000 up to $2,000 per vehicle. As conclusion, the transport sector has a significant contribution to the local and greenhouse gas emissions, so there is a great effort in the implementation of automotive legislation with a considerable advances in the last decades. There are technologies to support this continuous greenhouse gas emissions reduction and local emissions as well. And it is still necessary to create integration between the programs PROCONVE, Rota 2030, and the RenovaBio, reducing the technological distance of Brazilian vehicles in relation to the developed countries. Introduction of vehicle expansion and maintenance programs in use in large centers for local reduction of emissions is very important. And also, the technology definition according to the application is very important to take in account. It means that separating vehicles that operate in large centers of those that operate in over long distance take into account the existing infrastructure and the availability of alternatives such as biofuel that will guarantee the sustainable transport for the society. So, thank you very much by your attention. This is the presentation I'd like to share with you, and I'm available to answer the question. Thank you.